All right, welcome to our next part of our build series with the Bois semi-hollow. We've got it hanging up here. We're going to be putting some clear finish on this body as well. We're going to be working on the fretwork for the neck. We're going to get some finish on the neck as well. Thanks for hanging with us. We're trying to make sure we're getting progress weekly and make sure that you guys can see all the steps that go into this. Now, some of the steps you noticed in the last episode, we've kind of condensed a little bit of the process because there are certain parts of the process that do take a long time, and we don't want you to sit there with the camera running for an hour. So we're trying to figure out the best way to film this, and also I'll keep it, within that 10 to 15 minute time frame per episode, because it is a lot of time commitment to watch these. But hopefully you can see all of the detail that goes into our guitars. Hopefully you can see the quality and just the attention to the fine points of every part of the build that we put into our guitars, because we want to show you kind of what goes into them, and maybe you'll be able to see kind of the price points that we're asking, and just some of the different amazing options that you can get with even our two main models. So if you're just watching this one, check us out at porterguitars.com. We're going to dive right into putting some finish on this and then jump over to the fretwork. And so this is a lot of just fast moving stuff in this episode, but we're looking forward to showing you kind of the process of this. Now, we had gone back and forth on this specific model, or this specific build, because we inlaid the epoxy there, and a few of the places got a little soft where the black and the hardener, the black color and the hardener didn't really mix as well as we'd like. So we had to do some filling on that. We got the lines very well cleaned up. But what we're going to go ahead and do, because this is spalted maple and we have these lines that kind of are a little soft in spots, we're going to go ahead and put some sanding sealer on the top of this. So clear sanding sealer, just to try to give it a little bit more of a barrier than we normally would on some builds. We do the sanding sealer for color coats, so if we want to lay down some thick base that we're going to be putting color over, a lot of times we'll use sanding sealer. There's varying opinions on spalted maple and how to finish it, so sanding sealer is usually a good idea. This top doesn't really have much hard or soft areas. Sometimes with the spalted maple you can run into that. But for now, it looks like the sanding sealer will be good. We're going to try to get 3 or 4 coats of sanding sealer on this and then take a look at where we're at and how it's setting up and how it's looking. We're not going to be grain filling the back of this guitar. A lot of times on the mahogany and sapele, in our case, we want to grain fill it. But we're actually going to kind of go for an open pour sort of finish. We're going to do really a couple light coats of clear. We're not going to be tinting any of the clears. It's going to be natural woods. So everything on the back will start to pop out a little bit more in the top as well as it gets a little deeper look with the finish on it. So let's go ahead and start spraying. Okay, so we have now entered into the fretwork phase of our build. So we've got a lot of cool things happening here. We'll show you a couple different camera angles of what we're doing. We do fret tension leveling on all of our necks here at Porter. So you can see the jig that we have here. The body is mounted in there. Obviously we're using a different body for the neck for this build, so that's why it looks different. I'll bring the camera up here so you can see kind of where we're sitting. This is going to hold down the body. Right now we are marking the frets. Try not to hit you with this camera, Mike. We're marking the frets and we're going to be leveling those off. And what this jig does is it allows us to resimulate the string tension on the individual necks. So we can prop it up at the headstock here, and then we can pull down at the nut and recreate what the strings do to the neck, and then we will level under that tension. So recreating that is going to make it play really good all the way up and down, and then we're going to have just a great playing neck with no issue spots, even up on the higher frets. So as we get this thing prepped, it allows us to remove the strings or detune the strings like we have here, and we can get that fretwork done. So we'll get this jig set up and then we'll start the fretwork. right, so we've got quite a bit of finish now on the build, on the body. We've got, you saw some shots of the neck, so here it is. It's got just a little bit of finish on it. We're right now getting ready to lay out where the nut spacing is going to go. We've started to polish up the fretboard and the frets themselves. After we've leveled them, we've done some crowning, and it's starting to look pretty nice here. It's going to be a very cool combo. So kind of as you can see, the bird's eyes are definitely starting to pop out of the neck there. Really, really happy with kind of how that's looking. As far as the body here, we had a pretty good bit of finish on there. We really did mostly kind of a sealer, sanding sealer, clear coat on it, and we're not really going to do a lot more here. So we've actually done the initial sanding, and then we're going to get into some polishing and that kind of stuff here. What we did is kind of just scuff sanded this with some fine grit pads, and we sprayed very light coats on it to make sure that it's going to be nice and smooth. It's already starting to shine up, as you can see here. Looking really, really good. Overall, the border turned out pretty nice. You can see here, there's a few little spots that maybe we could have done a little bit better, but it had to deal with the epoxy itself mixing. The sides are looking good. The back on the Sapile, we went with kind of that clear coat, so it's definitely just nice, very close to what the actual color of the wood is. It's not tinted or it's not colored at all there. You can see how nice that's going to look on the ends there. We're just about ready here. We're going to probably do the polishing, and then we're going to get the rest of the neck cleaned up. We're going to get the fretboard done. One nice thing about our fret leveling process is we can do this, as you saw, it was attached to another guitar body. We can do this ahead of time and then mate it up to this body, and then we'll be fine. We'll be able to know that this neck is tensioned correctly, and then it's going to work out really well when we string it up for the first time, which we are probably about a week or two away from putting strings on this thing. The next step we're going to talk about is we're going to sit down with Marco and talk about pickups for this thing. We've got a set planned out for this dual humbucker guitar. We're going to go with a very specific sounding set for it. We're going to be a little bit different in the tones, but we'll sit down with him and talk about kind of the goals and the sounds that we should expect out of that set, and then we'll get working on building that set, and we'll show you a little bit of that process as well.
Hello, Internet. How's it going?
What's going on, guys? So we're here with Marco. He is in charge of the pickup side of the shop, building all the pickups. So now that we're into this phase of the electronics of the guitar, and
fun part.
Yes, starting to like get closer and closer and closer. I know that for those who have been following this video, it's been kind of a long process. We've been trying to condense a little bit of the content and get through this process a little faster. But we do want to talk about pickup design, being that we are a pickup company as well. So one of the advantages of working with us is that we do the custom wind the pickups and build the guitars at the same time. So now that we're into the guitar phase, if this was your guitar that we were building, we would be talking to you about specific winds, kind of tones that you want. We already decided on dual humbucker route, so we've kind of narrowed our options down. Not really, because we have a million options of pickups.
Yeah.
But, so what did we decide to do for this guitar?
So for this one, we decided to throw in a popular set lately, the classic Overdrive Plus set. That's been kind of one of the more recent sets that we developed, just kind of trying to find different tones in the capabilities that we have still. So it's kind of one of our pretty classic winds, typically in the bridge. Kind of think of that, moving it up to the neck, and then we kind of add another kind of overwound bridge pickup in the bridge, and it really it's got a powerful magnet in it, and we're going to do raw covers on it. It's funny about the builds, because it's not what you would think maybe would go in a semi-hollow guitar typically, but for whatever reason it just kind of was screaming this at us, like, oh yeah, this is what we want to throw in there.
Yeah,
and
you mentioned it was definitely been one of our kind of better sellers lately, and we always love raw nickel covers.
Yeah.
Some people may not like the chrome with the hardware with the raw nickel pickup covers. I think it's going to look really good. One thing, I think we chose that because it's a satin finish too. It's a very flat finish. We just wanted the guitar to kind of stand out in itself. We did think about, I know we were going back and forth, we were thinking about maybe doing like a like a border similar to the way the guitar was around the pickups, but we didn't want to take away from what was already happening on the guitar. So we could have made it more busy. So I'm really happy with that selection, and I think it's gonna work really good. And you mentioned that it's definitely maybe not the most traditional semi-hollow sounding set. We've been doing a lot of like the Portertrons and those kind of pickups lately, and we wanted to both kind of do something different.
Yeah,
and selfishly, we want to hear this set in that guitar. All right, so that concludes this part of our guitar build series. Thanks again for watching. We're definitely getting down to the wire now, and we are getting hardware ready. We are getting this thing ready to bolt up, starting to feel like we're literally weeks away from this thing being in our hands and playing it. This is always one of the most exciting parts of building the guitar, is that final, what's it going to sound like, how's it going to feel, what is it going to play like, all those things. We're working and spending a lot of time, as you can see, getting this together. We did jam a lot into this episode, and hopefully you've been enjoying this series, and hopefully it's informative for you. You can check us out, as always, porterguitars.com, and thanks for your support.